Hello YouTube and welcome to a new Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we're going to talk about one of the bigger mysteries added by the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor. Now, little disclaimer, this video was written and for the largest part made last week, but I didn't have time to finalize it then, and in the meantime Elder Scrolls Online Mark Art has released and it might contain answers to the mysteries that I am about to present. But I did some research and asked some hardcore ESO players and it doesn't seem that there are any answers. So with that disclaimer behind us, let's talk about the time-traveling Thaddeus Cosma. In the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor chapter there have been some significant lore additions, but none puzzled me as much as the addition of Thaddeus Cosma. When you travel in Blackreach in the Elder Scrolls Online, you may happen upon an ancient Dwemer ruin called Nurchuta-Karst. This dungeon, for all terms and purposes, is a very curious one. When you approach the dungeon you will find the adventurer Kireth Vanos, whom you are able to encounter in several other quests in the game. She tells you that she and her brother got contracted to investigate the ruin, but it turns out that a lot of strange things were going on in the ruin and she decided against exploring the ruin after they've been ambushed by bandits who seemingly appeared from nowhere. Her brother, Rainer Vanos, however, decided to go in either way because he was curious as to what kind of secrets could be found in the ruin and what the cause could be for that strange popping in, claiming that the secrets of the Dwemer tonal magic itself may be waiting inside. You agree to help Kireth find her brother inside the ruin and then get him out. To no surprise, when you find him, he doesn't really feel like going as he wishes to research the ruins. He explains to you that the ruins are full of strange creatures and people that pop in and out of existence, and he wishes to find out the origin of this strange phenomenon. You then decide to explore the ruins together with the siblings, after promising Kireth to help keep her brother safe. And soon you'll also see what Rainer meant with people and creatures popping in and out of existence, because the whole ruin is full of strange distortions in time and space, with creatures from all geographic regions of Tamriel appearing in the ruins through strange portals of sorts, and then randomly disappearing again a few seconds after. You three explore the ruins for a bit and then find a strange character standing in the ruins in full Dwemer armor and a strange hat. When you approach him, he recognizes you and says, "Ah, of course it's you, couldn't have been anyone else, couldn't it?" Indicating that you two have already met. When you ask whether you two have already met, he essentially tells you that it depends on what year it is right now, and apparently you two are in a time when you haven't already met. But he refuses to tell anything more, as there's already enough temporal instability going on in the ruins without him making it worse. He then introduces himself as Thaddeus Cosma, and he refuses to really reveal anything more about himself, other than that he belongs to some sort of organization, but he refuses to elaborate on what kind of organization it is. All he says is that you have to help him find several parts to his mysterious machine, imploring you, Rainer and Kireth to help him find the parts and help close the strange temporal and spatial distortions around the ruins, because the machine can fix them, and he explains that if you don't fix them, the ruin might completely rip itself apart and become a very big problem, as that would kill all of you. He then shows you a list of parts, but just as you finish reading the list, Kireth and Rainer get ripped apart by the spatial distortions, disappearing in bright blue flashes. Thaddeus Cosma then tells you that they can still be safe, but that for now they are lost, somewhere in space and time. Telling you that they could be anywhere, the Meratic era, the distant future, the very start of creation, but that for now there is no way to retrieve them until the distortions are fixed with his machine. So he tells you to quickly retrieve those parts. The quest itself isn't all too special, it's just a fetch quest, it's just random enemies and bosses, all from different provinces in the game. So yeah, just a fetch quest really. But over the course of the quest, the distortions seem to get worse, and you even meet both Rainer and Kireth during the quest, who seem to have distorted back to your time. When you meet Rainer, he tells you that he spent years in other periods of time, saying that the time is not a road to travel on, but rather a rope or a cable with many threads all bound together with no beginning or end for those who know how it works. And he says that he learned so much, but that he can't tell you anything yet, as time is of the essence, and that he got contacted by a group of people, who are likely from the same organization as Thaddeus Cosma, who then sent him back to that point in time, telling him that you would be there soon, and that the future version of Rainer can't stay here long, lest the present version cannot return. He then gives you the part that you need and implores you to hurry and save the present version of himself and his sister, who are still lost somewhere. Because this is apparently or a future or a past version of Rainer. Confusing? Yeah. You also meet the future version of Kareth during the quest, who also seems to have been sent to the present by Tadeus' mysterious organization to help you get the part. But before you can talk to her, she disappears again in a spatial distortion. Just before getting the final part for Tadeus, you actually see both Raynor and Kareth, both having been sent back from time again to help you get the parts, but this time they basically disappear just as you approach, and they barely recognize one another as you see them. Raynor seems almost confused, exclaiming, "Kareth, is that you? It's been so long." But both almost instantly disappear again, indicating that the distortions are getting so bad that Tadeus' organization cannot keep them in the present as they get ripped away again. When you retrieve the final part, you approach Thaddeus Cosma again with all the parts that he needs to fix the spatial distortions. He tells you to hurry and help him fix the device, and when you help him fix the strange device, the spatial and temporal distortions suddenly disappear and Kareth and Raynor return to the present time. Just before Kareth and Raynor return, however, you have the chance to ask Thaddeus Cosma about himself and about his organization. He more or less reveals that part of the tasks of his organization is to fix distortions in time and space, but that he can't tell you anything more, as your understanding of how time and space works is still too fragile in your brain and that it's too rattled as it is. You then ask him whether he's from the future, but before he can give you a straight answer, he basically just laughs and then dematerializes and disappears. This is the end of his story so far, and when Kareth and Raynor return, they seem to have been returned to their past selves, only having vague memories of what happened, not remembering much of their years across time and space, and also not remembering that they helped you get the parts in the first place during your quest. All that Raynor remembers is talking to a strange group of people, likely Tadeus' organization, but he doesn't remember any details. Kareth remembers a bit more, remembering to have been traveled both back and forward in time, remembering that it was all a sort of bad dream. But from what she tells you, she says that she saw Vivek City as a crater, having vague memories of falling into a volcano, indicating that, among other places, she got shot forward in time towards the Red Year, which is just a few centuries before Skyrim takes place, the game Skyrim, of course. So that's basically the story of the quest. It's a pretty interesting one, but the implications of this questline are massive. While time travel was already a thing of sorts in the Elder Scrolls universe, the addition of Tadeus and his organization is pretty much groundbreaking, if anything because it likely foreshadows a future Elder Scrolls Online expansion. You see, Tadeus already claimed to have met you, asking what year it is because apparently you two will meet in the future, and will become pretty well acquainted judging from his "oh, of course it's you, how could it be anyone else" reaction. That means that it's likely that we'll encounter him a lot in a future chapter or DLC. Perhaps the next year-long storyline will revolve around him and his organization. Now, to get a bit more into the theory part of this video, Tadeus as we see him is dressed in a form of Dwemer armor, but his hat is called the Menonaught hat, which is a hat that was used by legendary Riemann Empire Menonauts, essentially sort of astronauts but for exploration of other realms like Aetherius. Essentially the Riemann Empire space program, but that's a subject for a whole other video on its own someday. My personal speculation is that Thaddeus Cosma, who is an Imperial, is probably part of this Riemann Empire's Menonaut space program. Thus, I suspect that he didn't come from the future, but rather came from the past. So, if that's true, this means that the Menonauts probably operated across time and space, closing distortions and fixing other time-related issues. I suspect all this because the Menonaut hat in the game is used nowhere else in the game to my knowledge on an NPC, other than like a paid accessory for players. Meaning that the developer specifically gave him the Menonaut hat, likely even developing it and modeling it for Thaddeus Cosma. So, you see, that's my personal speculation, that he's actually from the past and part of the Riemann Empire Menonauts, and that we will meet him in some future DLC or chapter. It opens up a lot of possibilities, and one of the first ones that possibly came up in my mind is that we might actually get a Cyrodiil expansion in the past, where we actually interact with the Menonauts during the Riemann era, and perhaps even see some of the Riemann Emperors in person. But I mean, that's pretty far-fetched, as I'm always very bad at guessing where storylines will go in the future, so I won't elaborate on it more. Just saying that we have some very interesting possibilities to see Tamriel in the past or something like that. To be honest, it's more of a wish than a realistic speculation, as I don't see it happening anytime soon. Anyway, to end this lore video on this far-fetched speculation, yeah, I will see you all next week in the next lore video. I'm sorry for the delay on this one, but yeah, we already talked about all that. Before I end it, allow me to thank my top patrons, Bernardo Binda, Gabriel Binda, Mr. Para and Mr. Christmas. These people, along with all the others you see on screen right now, yeah, they keep my channel afloat and they make so that I can make these videos semi-consistently. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, consider returning next week. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye bye.